Here's one of the local officials, because earlier, as I talked about, Donald Trump and them and Christy Noem, we're all talking about how the governors, if they can't handle their situation, maybe they shouldn't be governors. How about the local officials as well?
One more question.
Yeah, well, one of the questions that still hasn't been answered 3 days into this is, despite TEM's warning on July 2nd and July 3rd that something like this could have happened, that the threat existed, why that information didn't get down to the camps and why they weren't evacuated. Can you answer that now?
That is a great question, but again, we want to make sure that we continue to focus. We still have 11 missing children that we want to get reunited with our families. Until we can get reunited with our families, we are not going to stop. We are not going to stop until we do. So, thank you.
Follow-up question, sir. Was any emergency alert given out on the 4th, that morning of? Did anyone get
Sir,
any
there are
alert?
families who deserve better than that.
There are families that deserve better than that. And this official, this little more local official that's supposed to be part of this, walked his cowardly ass off. You see this guy behind him? It's Chip Roy, Representative Chip Roy, who's had some fire for people before. This guy, he's had some fire for him before. And he's had some pushback with Donald Trump before he capitulated at every term. He walked out with this crew of cowards that decided not to answer any questions about why they were underprepared as people died. And as that reporter asked at the end, you know what? Families deserve better than this. Why are you here? Always remember their faces, because they don't give a damn about you. It's just the way it is. This is how this government operates. I remember people saying that this government would operate this way, and they were considered crazy. Here's that same official. I don't even know his name, but he's the Kerrville city manager, the area where all that went down. And guess who else he has to blame? Guess who else he has to blame? You're going to get a good signal for who it is he's been listening to and who he thinks has great answers for these things when it's their disaster that they just perpetuated and made sure it was much worse than it ever could have been.
How in the world you can have so many campers in the way of this danger and not taken out of there ahead of this work?
Yeah, you know, that's the question of the hour. But, you know, with these, this is last time it was this bad, and this one is even worse than that, was 1987. You can't predict it. Everybody in the media even knows, everybody who does this and sees this every single day, you have the inverse effect of, if you continue to push it, and you see this in Houston areas all the time, you cry wolf. What happens when you continue to, ramp things up and you continue to put a lot of information out there? Again, not to harp on the media, but there's a lot of stuff that gets overspun up, and we see that way too often, and then that trickles down. So we did look at stuff. Obviously, I had told the story. I was out on the river trail at 3:30. I left about 4 o'clock. We did not see any signs of the river rising, and by 5:20, we almost weren't able to get out of the park on the upper end. It rose that quickly.
Dalton Rice, I believe his name is. It rose that quickly. They had no idea how to figure this whole thing out. It just rose that quickly. If only there was a way we could have figured it out and seen something coming our way. He should at least be honest. Like, my job would have been to coordinate a way to mitigate the level of disaster and casualties that we'd have in an event like this. But there's things that were cut that didn't give me that opportunity. They have to kind of dance around it, but instead he blames the media for hyperventilating and overblowing things and hyping things up too much. So someone should ask this guy, was it hyped up too much for everyone who right now, today, is mourning the loss of their children and their loved ones that were lost? Is it overblown? Is the degree to which we're talking about this overblown? Are those folks' lives not worth us overblowing this whole tragedy? Or should we just think and pray about it and move on and act like they never existed the way that these guys are doing? There's one other aspect. We saw all these folks die, and I know we've been focusing on the children in this particular camp, Mystic, that were victims of this, and also the other camp counselors and adults that were there that died. But this is an entire area as flooding went down, and the underreported, underpredicted storm, to the degree that it would become, came. These are the people that they don't care about as their lives are destroyed and turned upside down. I want you guys to see a real situation that's happened with these Texans living in their house before the flood hit that they didn't see coming.
Okay, my house is flooding. Anybody out there? I have my dad on hospice and I need to get him out of here. He's bedridden, he can't walk, he can hardly move, and look where the water is. So somebody please, we've called 911. It's bad over here. in front of the house. It's like a river. I mean, it's like a lake. They can't come look. We've lost our cars, everything. We've lived here for 30 years, and this has never happened. So anybody, please, if you have a boat or something, I need help. I need to get my dad out of here. It's starting to smell like sewer in here.
So this lady's dad is in hospice. He can't move. He's on the bed, and the floodwaters are literally at the side of his bed. And it's starting to smell like sewage in here. By the way, all you crazy leftists, are you radicals out there? I guess you should probably stop talking about climate change that you've been talking about for the past 30 years. That would increase the levels of storms and the degrees of things that happen like this, at the same time cutting the predictability from the services that maybe warn people as those storms are surging at rates that have never seen before. All those crazy people talking about what's going to happen to our atmosphere and our climate and the severity of these storms getting worse. This lady just said they've been living there for 30 years and we've never seen a storm like this. So combine the nature of ignoring that and actually making it worse, and then also cutting the funding for organizations and agencies that warn the people that those same disasters that we said weren't going to be as bad as they were coming your way, you just don't know about it. Just curious if we see it yet, because they're showing it to us. The only way not to see it is to ignore it and go back to worshiping the guy that's killing you.